الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم صدق الله العظيم. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, regarding ayat number 141 of Surat al-Baqarah, the last ayat of the first juz of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes one fact very clear: Tilka ummatun qad khalat. That those were nations, great people, great personalities, great nations. Qad khalat, they passed. This is in reference to the previous ayat and the previous discussion, which was related to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam and his progeny, the Anbiya alayhim salam and Rusul, the prophets and messengers. That came after Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. All of them within his progeny, they were made his progeny. And Nubuwah and prophethood, and this great privilege of Nubuwah and Wahi, this was limited to the progeny of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. Thousands of Anbiya alayhim salam and Rusul, prophets and messengers came after Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and all of them were within his progeny. They upheld the millat of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, coming all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who also held up that millah, that legacy, that way of life, that deen of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. When it came to revealed adyan, revealed religions, we have to understand that in this world there are many ideologies, there are many different paths that we human beings have made up. Different systems of belief that we as human beings have come up from our own side. Majority of them involve shirk, or almost all of them, other than the deen of Islam, they involve associating partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or making up names and gods from people's own imaginations. This human imagination, it can go very, very far. So all of these adyan, all of these religions that we human beings have come up with, they are nothing more than figments of imagination, fantasy, fiction. And the reality is that as human beings, the more we discover about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without guidance, without hidayah, we human beings fall prey to the evil of our own intellect and the evil whispers of shaitan and the suggestions of shaitan. And there's no limit to how far and how misguided someone can become. The adyan and the religions of the past, they made up names, came up with their own ideas and ideologies, came up with their own gods, made their own systems, made their own beliefs. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran. That all of these were in reality stem from the desires and the shahwat of insan, from the desires of this human being. In multiple places in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this fact very clear. رَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who has made his own desires his God? Making up figments of imagination, coming up with their own names, coming up with classes and categories, making up their own groups, on top of every group putting their own idol, their own God. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let them go astray with their own knowledge. Knowledge is not a condition of someone being accepted for guidance. Sincerity is the condition. Really wanting to find the truth, really seeking the truth, trying to find purity and finding the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those type of people or that person will be guided. There are many who accept Islam, and if you ask them their story, what made them come to Islam, one fact will become very clear from all of the stories of the people who accepted Islam. At least those that accepted Islam and were genuine in accepting Islam. One fact will be very clear is that they were sincere in finding the truth. You will find many that will have ulterior motives. They will not remain Muslim for very long unless they become sincere. But for those who accept Islam and remain Muslim and really change their life, for them this will be the one common trend that you will find in all of them, is the level of sincerity they will have in seeking out the truth and finding the truth and then accepting the truth. And ilm will play not a very major role in their decision, but as far as those who fall prey to their desires, so their own intellect will become their enemy. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let them go astray with their own knowledge. وَخَتَمَ عَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَجَعَلَ عَلَىٰ بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sealed up or put a seal and a plug over their ears and their hearts and put a veil over their eyes. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. So who can guide someone after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided that such a person will go astray? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us and keep us on hidayah and guidance. But this is the reality of the nations of the past and even the nations today. Those who follow their desires and just want to fulfill their desires, so shaitan will make a religion for them and will justify their immoral and immodest desires and will make them spread immorality and immodesty. And these avenues, shaitan has made great effort in making them accessible to anyone who wants to make their desire their God. That whatever their desire tells them, they submit and they follow and they obey. And eventually one point comes where what is considered fitrah in nature and natural, that line becomes very diluted, becomes very gray, becomes a gray area. This is not something new. I'm not just talking about the 21st century where they're trying to spread this idea of freedom and everyone has their own choices. And their argument is that people are born a certain way. We have to understand that as human beings, we are born a certain way. But that is the beauty of the deen of Islam, is that it tells us not to act upon those desires, not to act upon those thoughts. We are all born with desires. The deen of Islam has told us the evil of acting upon those impulses. And He has given us a beautiful, honorable system towards which we may fulfill those desires in an honorable system, in an honorable way. Otherwise, every human being is born with different types of impulses. Does not mean that every impulse is right. This is the argument of the 21st century. This idea that has come about, that a certain group of people were born a certain way, so they should be given freedom to do what they please. You have to also understand that just because someone is born a certain way does not mean that what they will act upon is justified or it is right. There are psychopaths, sociopaths who are born with a psychological system that they take murder to be something very light. For them to kill a human being is like someone killing a cockroach or an insect. That's how it registers in their mind. And for them, they commit so much murder, they kill so many people. If you apply that argument that someone is born a certain way, so they should be given the freedom to act as they were born. What about this class of people who justify, and they're highly intellectual? Many of them are very, very intellectual people, and they argue, justify that this is how they were born. They have the system to kill. They want to kill. Does that mean that we should let them commit murder? And there are numerous cases like this of people born a certain way. And if they're given the freedom to act in a certain way, so that will go against the norm of society and go against the norm of nature. So that is the beauty of the deen of Islam, is that it has given us a system upon which if we abide by, then we'll have a very, very pure system, very close to nature, to fitrah. So in the past also, and even today, Shaitan has made this system a kind of ideology and an idol that people may worship. Different slogans people used to have in the past. The nations of the past, they had various slogans. And the one common theme in all of the slogans was the slogan of freedom. Of 100% freedom, and they should be given the freedom to follow and worship their gods, and their gods gave them this freedom, God-given right of freedom. That is where the revealed adyan, the revealed religions. First of all, the adyan of all of the Anbiya alayhim as-salam, the prophets and messengers, the deen was the deen of Islam. As far as revealed scriptures and adyan, you have Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the Yahud and Nasara and Muslim. But in all of the revelations, the Torah, the Zabur, the Injil, and the Quran preserved are the Torah, the Injil, and the Quran. What is very clear is that this notion of 100% freedom is broken. O insan, O mankind, understand one thing: you are a creation. And you being a creation, you are the slaves of your creator. You are created to fulfill a purpose. You're not free to do what you want. This is what made this deen quite difficult for those who wanted to just fulfill their desires, because they could not wrap their mind around this fact that we have to submit to an almighty being. We have to submit to the very being that created us. It became very, very difficult in the minds of those who are subjected to fulfilling their desires. And for them to accept this concept that they were, or that they are a creation to fulfill a particular purpose. And they do not have all 100% freedom to do what they want, how they want. For them to accept this was so difficult. كَأَنَّمَا يَصَّعَّدُ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Even the ayat of the Quran give a unique example. It's as if they had to climb a ladder to the heavens. It's difficult enough climbing stairs. As human beings, when we have a big building, it's more than 10 stories generally, the majority of us, we like to take the elevator. Even those that are so health conscious, if the stairs are too many, so they will also take an elevator or escalator. There was a article that someone, or a picture, a photo someone sent me, that there was a gym and the people were going to the gym. To go up to the gym, there was stairs going up to the gym. And on the side of the stairs, there was an escalator going up this, to go up the stairs. And everyone that was going to the gym to work out was taking the escalator to go up. Nobody was walking on the stairs. Very counterproductive to actually working out. But this is how we humans are. So it becomes very difficult for someone to accept that they are the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they have to fulfill His ahkam. Because those that are slaves to their desires, the desire demands from this human being to be free to do whatever they want. And this idea and this concept comes from desires. From the shahawat of this insan, from the shahawat of this human being. And if you tell this desire something else, that you have to fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are not free, this becomes very difficult for this desire to understand. It's as if you are climbing stairs up to the heavens. Very difficult concept. So the revealed adyan, the revealed scriptures and the revealed religions, they were sent to break this notion and this idea that this human being is completely free. And they were also revealed in the Anbiya alayhimus salam, the prophets and messengers throughout the history of mankind. They were sent to make this human being understand that these fallacies and fantasies you're coming up with, they are nothing more than figments of your imagination and names that you have made up. In hiya illa asma'un sammaytumuha antum ma'aba'ukum ma anzalallahu biha min sultan. That all of these idols you're worshipping, all of these concepts you're coming up with, they are nothing more than names. In hiya illa asma'un, they're nothing more than names. Antum ma'aba'ukum, that you and your forefathers invented. Sammaytumuha antum ma'aba'ukum. You named them and you invented these names. You and your forefathers invented these names. Ma anzalallahu biha min sultan. Nothing has ever been revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have no evidence or proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that agrees with these strange concepts and these strange ideologies. So it's made very, very clear that the adyan that were invented by mankind, the religions that are invented by this human being, you'll always find this concept of the fulfillment of desires and everything to justify the fulfillment of desires. Because the adyan and the religions of mankind that have been invented by human beings, the main foundation and reasoning behind those religions There's a concept of freedom, that this desire should be free. This idea that the desire should be let loose and should be allowed to be free. Whether it is Hinduism, whether it is the shirk of the mushrikeen, whether it is this new idea of atheism. These were there also. They're old ideas, atheism. They existed before, but now is Scientology, belief of science. Or whatever other system you take, the idea that this human being has no reckoning and he's free to do what he wants. And he should be given all freedom to fulfill that desire. And if something goes in conflict with that desire, so it can be regulated, it can be checked. But this desire should not be put under check and balance. It should be allowed to run rampant. So this was also the purpose behind the deen of Islam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this beautiful deen of Islam and made us Muslims so that we may understand. You may have many tendencies, you may have many desires, but don't act on them. You're not free. If these desires are in your minds and in your hearts, you will not even be questioned about it. But if you act upon it, they can become haram. If you take the wrong avenue and you take the haram, then it is haram and you will be definitely punished for it. And this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding our willpower. That it is it our desire and our will to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to give up our vain desires only for His sake? Or will we fall prey to our desires and leave the deen and the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the Anbiya alayhimus salam, the prophets and messengers, they were sent to teach mankind what is right and what is hidayah and what is guidance and how to follow the right path. And this was to break that system of the desires and break the system of shaitan and the deception of shaitan. So tilka ummatun qad khalat, those are the nations that they passed, they came in the past. And they have already passed. They left behind this legacy teaching mankind the truth and guidance and how not to be prey for their own desires and not to fall victim to the deceptions of shaitan and the deception of their desires. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us understanding and give us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. عن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه قال: إني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: من سلك طريقا يطلب فيه علما سلك الله به طريقا من طرق الجنة وإن الملائكة لا تضع أجنحتها رضا لطالب علم لطالب العلم وإن العالم لا يستغفر له من في السماوات والأرض والحيتان في جوف الماء وإن فضل العالم على العابد كفضل القمر ليلة البدر على سائر الكواكب وإن العلماء ورثة الأنبياء وإن الأنبياء لم يورثوا دينارا ولا درهما ورثوا العلم فمن أخذه أخذ بحظ وافر وكما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام رواه Abu Dawood. This hadith is in Abu Dawood, one of the 6 most authentic books of hadith, the Sahih Sitta. عن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه قال سيدنا أبو الدرداء رضي الله عنه, he narrates, saying, إني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I have heard Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying, من سلك طريقا يطلب فيه علما سلك الله به طريقا من طرق الجنة. Whosoever travels a path in search of knowledge, the ilm of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, سلك الله به طريقا من طرق الجنة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will enable this person to travel on one of the paths of Jannah, of paradise. وَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ, and definitely the angels, لَتَضَعُ أَجْنِحَتَهَا رِضًا لِطَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. And the angels, they spread their wings with pleasure for the one who seeks knowledge, for the talib ilm, for the student of ilm. So the malaika, they spread their wings for the talib ilm. وَإِنَّ الْعَالِمَ لَيَسْتَغْفِرُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And for the alim, the whatever is in the heavens and the earth, they seek forgiveness for the alim, for the scholar of deen. وَالْحِيتَانِ فِي جَوْفِ الْمَاءِ. And even the creatures of the water, meaning the fish, they also seek forgiveness for the alim of deen. Inshallah, we'll stop here and we'll continue this hadith in much more detail from Sunday, inshallah. It's a very lengthy hadith, so we'll go over the details, inshallah, on Sunday.
He wants to help.
Huh?
He wants to help.
Yes. Inshallah, we'll stop here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and give us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.